The black credit card slid across the marble table with a soft hiss. 3 pairs of eyes locked onto it, gleaming, limitless, dangerous. Liam Hayes leaned back in his chair, watching carefully as his girlfriend Vanessa reached for it first, her manicured nails hovering inches above the metal. His sister Chloe smirked from across the room, already pulling out her phone. And in the corner, standing so still she might have been invisible, Anna clutched her cleaning cloth tighter, her worn fingers trembling slightly. "Take it," Liam said quietly. "Any of you, all of you, I'll be gone for a few days, buy whatever you want." Vanessa's laugh was like champagne bubbles, light, expensive, and fleeting. "Whatever we want, baby, are you sure you know what you're saying?" Liam's smile didn't reach his eyes. "I'm very sure." "What would you do if someone handed you unlimited wealth with no strings attached? Would you think of yourself first, or would you think of others?" 3 women were about to answer that question, and only one would prove that the richest hearts don't always live in the wealthiest bodies. Liam Hayes hadn't always been a billionaire. 35 years ago, he'd been born in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment where the heating barely worked, and dinner was often just rice, and whatever his mother could stretch from her grocery budget. She'd been a maid, too, working 3 jobs to keep him and his sister Chloe fed. Liam remembered watching her count coins on the kitchen table, her fingers red and cracked from cleaning solutions, her face lined with exhaustion she'd never admit to feeling. "One day," she'd whispered to him once, tucking him into bed with blankets too thin for winter, "one day you'll have everything you need. And when you do, remember, money shows you who people really are." He hadn't understood then. But 15 years of building a tech empire from nothing, of turning a single software idea into a multi-billion-dollar company, had taught him exactly what she meant. Money hadn't just changed his life. It had changed everyone around him. Vanessa Monroe had walked into his life 2 years ago at a charity gala, draped in a dress that cost more than most people's cars. She was beautiful in the way that stopped conversations. Sharp cheekbones, perfect skin, eyes that knew exactly how to hold a man's attention. She'd laughed at his jokes, listened to his stories, and made him feel like maybe, just maybe, someone could love him for who he was beneath the bank accounts. But lately, the cracks had started showing. The way she only smiled when he mentioned expensive restaurants. The way she'd pout if he suggested staying in instead of jet-setting to Paris for the weekend. The way she'd casually mentioned, 3 times last month, that her friend's engagement ring was 5 carats and absolutely breathtaking. His sister Chloe was a different problem entirely. She'd been 14 when their mother died, and Liam, barely 23 and suddenly wealthy, had tried to give her everything their mother couldn't. Private schools. Designer clothes, a credit card with no limit. He thought he was honoring their mother's memory by ensuring Chloe never wanted for anything. Instead, he'd created a monster. Chloe threw parties that made tabloid headlines. She'd wrecked 2 sports cars and laughed it off. She treated staff like props and friends like accessories. And whenever Liam tried to talk to her about responsibility, she'd roll her eyes and say, "You're rich, Liam. What's the point of money if you don't spend it?" And then there was Anna. Anna Rodriguez had been cleaning Liam's penthouse for 6 months, and he'd barely noticed her for the first 4. She was quiet, almost invisible, the kind of person who moved through rooms like a ghost. She arrived early, left late, and never asked for anything beyond her modest salary. She didn't gossip with the other staff. She didn't take photos of the artwork or sneak peeks at his private spaces. She just worked. It was a Tuesday morning when Liam first really saw her. He'd been up all night with a business crisis, packing his office, and had stumbled into the kitchen at dawn for coffee. Anna had been there on her hands and knees, scrubbing a stain from the floor that probably no one else would ever notice. "You don't have to do that," he'd said, startling her. "The cleaning service would handle it." She'd looked up at him with dark eyes that held something he couldn't quite name. Not fear, not ambition, just steadiness. "I know, Mr. Hayes. But if I can do it now, why wait?" Something about that response had stuck with him. In a world where everyone wanted something from him, here was someone who just wanted to do her job well. Over the following weeks, he'd started paying attention. He noticed she brought the same lunch every day, a small container of rice and beans. He noticed she wore the same 2 pairs of shoes, alternating them so carefully they'd last longer. He noticed that once, when his business partner had snapped at her for being in the way, she'd apologized softly and disappeared without a trace of resentment. And he noticed that she never, ever asked him for anything. The idea came to him on a night when Vanessa had thrown a tantrum because he'd been too busy to fly to Milan for Fashion Week. She'd accused him of not loving her, of prioritizing work over their relationship, of being emotionally unavailable. Then, in the same breath, she'd suggested that maybe a vacation house in the Hamptons would help her feel more secure in their relationship. He'd gone for a walk after she left, wandering the streets of Manhattan at 2 in the morning, and his mother's words had echoed in his mind. Money shows you who people really are. What if he could test that? What if he could finally know, once and for all, who actually cared about him versus who cared about his wallet? The experiment was simple. He'd give each woman his credit card with no limit and no instructions except to buy whatever they wanted. Then he'd watch what they did with absolute freedom. His accountant thought he was crazy. "You're going to give 3 people unlimited access to your money. Sir, with all due respect." "I know what I'm doing," Liam had interrupted. "And I can afford whatever they spend. What I can't afford is spending my life surrounded by people who see me as an ATM." Now, standing in his living room, he watched the 3 women process his offer. Vanessa had already snatched up the card, holding it up to the light like a trophy. "Oh, baby, you have no idea how much I needed this. There's this Chanel bag I've been dying for, and the new Louboutin collection just dropped, and whatever you want," Liam repeated, his voice neutral. "I'll be in Tokyo for business. 5 days, the card is yours." Chloe was grinning like Christmas had come early. "Big brother, you're finally learning how to live a little. I'm throwing the party of the year. You won't even recognize this place when you get back." "I'm sure I won't," Liam said dryly. Anna hadn't moved from her spot by the window. Her eyes were wide, her face pale. "Mr. Hayes, I don't understand. You want me to buy whatever you want, Anna, anything, everything, no questions asked." She shook her head quickly. "I couldn't possibly consider it a bonus," he said gently. "You've been working very hard. You deserve it." Her fingers twisted in her apron. "Sir, thank you, but I don't need much." "Then buy what little you do need," he said. "Please, it would make me happy to know you used it." Vanessa rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, Anna, just take the card. He's literally giving away free money. Why are you always so difficult?" Anna flinched at the sharp tone, and Liam felt a flash of anger he had to suppress. Instead, he pulled out 2 more credit cards from his wallet. He'd prepared for this, and handed one to Anna and one to Chloe. "One for each of you," he said. "My flight leaves in 2 hours. Enjoy yourselves." As he walked out of the penthouse, suitcase in hand, he activated the spending alerts on his phone. Every transaction would ping him immediately with the amount, location, and merchant. He'd know everything they did, every choice they made, every priority they revealed. His mother's voice whispered in his memory. Money shows you who people really are. It was time to find out who these 3 women really were. Vanessa lasted exactly 47 minutes before the first charge came through. Liam was in the airport lounge when his phone buzzed. Bergdorf Goodman, $12,000. He pulled up the itemized receipt his accountant had configured to auto-send. A Chanel bag, Jimmy Choo heels, Lummer skincare set, Tom Ford sunglasses. He took a sip of his whiskey and waited. 20 minutes later, Saks Fifth Avenue, $8,000, Gucci dress, Valentino clutch, diamond earrings. An hour after that, a spa in Tribeca. $3,000 for a luxury rejuvenation package. By the time his plane took off, Vanessa had spent $43,000, and her Instagram story was a highlight reel of shopping bags and champagne glasses. "When your man finally treats you right," read one caption, followed by a string of money bag and diamond emojis. "Living my best life," said another, paired with a photo of her in a boutique changing room wearing a dress with the price tag still visible. Liam closed Instagram and stared out the airplane window at the clouds below. He felt nothing, just a hollow kind of confirmation of something he'd already suspected. Chloe's charges started around dinner time, Tokyo time. A liquor store, $4,000, a catering company, $12,000, a DJ service, $8,000, a designer furniture rental company. Apparently she decided his regular furniture wasn't good enough for whatever she was planning. $15,000. Then the real spending began. A luxury car service to transport VIP guests, $6,000, a nightclub bottle service pre-order, $20,000, an event planner for exclusive party coordination, $10,000. His phone buzzed with a text from his head of security. "Sir, your sister has invited approximately 200 people to the penthouse for tomorrow night. Should we intervene?" Liam typed back. "No, let it happen." He could stop it. One phone call and the whole thing would shut down. But that would defeat the purpose, wouldn't it? He needed to see how far she'd go, how much of his trust she'd break when she thought no one was watching. By the end of day one, Chloe had spent $87,000 on a party that would probably destroy half his furniture and annoy every neighbor in the building. But Anna's charges were different. The first one came through at 7:15 a.m. New York time, a grocery store in Queens, $43. Milk, bread, rice, chicken, vegetables, and a pack of children's vitamins. Liam frowned at his phone. That was nothing, barely a dent. He'd given her unlimited access to millions and she'd bought groceries. The second charge, a pharmacy, $68. Prescription medications. The itemized receipt showed they were for blood pressure and diabetes management. Not for Anna, though. The prescription names were for Maria Rodriguez. Her mother, Liam remembered. Anna had mentioned once in passing that her mother was ill. The third charge made him sit up straighter in his Tokyo hotel room. A thrift store in Queens, $22. One pair of gently used work shoes, size 7. For an hour, nothing. Then, a children's charity organization, a donation. $500, Liam's throat tightened. Another hour passed. Another donation, this time to a food bank. $300, no designer bags, no spa days, no parties. Just groceries, medicine, used shoes, and charity. He opened his laptop and pulled up the more detailed tracking he'd set up, not just purchases, but locations. Vanessa was currently at a 5-star hotel in the Hamptons, having apparently decided a quick getaway was necessary. The charges showed room service, massages, and a reservation at a restaurant that required booking 3 months in advance unless you were willing to pay their VIP immediate seating fee of $5,000. She'd paid it. Chloe's location showed she was still at the penthouse, and the charges were still rolling in. A cleaning deposit fee for anticipated damages, insurance for high-risk event, a late-night food delivery order for 200 people. But Anna's location made him pause. She was at St. Mary's Hospital in Queens. The charges stopped for several hours. Liam tried to work, tried to focus on the meetings and presentations that were the supposed reason for his Tokyo trip, but his mind kept drifting back to that hospital in Queens. Why was she there? Was her mother worse? Had something happened? He could call her. He had her number. But that would reveal that he was watching, tracking, testing. At 3:00 a.m. Tokyo time, his phone buzzed again. Anna's card, a hospital cafeteria, $7, coffee and a sandwich. She was still there. Day 2 brought more of the same patterns. Vanessa posted Instagram stories from the Hamptons, each one more extravagant than the last. Beach life, she captioned a photo of herself in a $1,000 bikini. Grateful for the good life, she wrote under a picture of a lobster dinner that had cost $800. She didn't mention Liam once. Not in any caption, any story, any post. It was as if he'd handed her his credit card and then ceased to exist. Chloe's party was that night, and the charges reflected it. More alcohol, more food, more everything. His security team sent him photos. The penthouse was packed wall-to-wall with people, most of whom Liam had never seen before. His white furniture was covered in spilled drinks. His original artwork was being used as a backdrop for drunk selfies. Someone had apparently tried to swim in his decorative indoor fountain. Having the time of my life, Chloe posted, along with a video of herself pouring champagne over a crowd of screaming partygoers. Money runs in our blood, baby. Liam closed his eyes and counted to 10. Anna's charges remained small, careful, thoughtful. A children's bookstore. $45, she'd bought books to donate to an after-school program. A home goods store. $32 for new kitchen towels and dish soap. Another donation to a homeless shelter. $200. On day 3, Liam broke. He couldn't help it. He called his head of security in New York and asked about Anna. She's been at the hospital a lot, sir, the security chief confirmed. Visiting her mother. From what we can gather, her mother's condition is serious. Kidney disease, advanced stage. And the charges? Liam asked. The hospital won't accept direct payment from anyone but the patient or next of kin for the medical bills themselves, sir. So she can't use your card for that. But she's been buying things for her mother. Comfortable pillows, a nice blanket, books to read to her. And she's been buying meals for other patients in the ward who don't have visitors. Liam sat in his hotel room, staring at the Tokyo skyline, and felt something crack open in his chest. "There's more, sir," the security chief continued. "Yesterday, she went back to your penthouse to clean up after your sister's party. She wasn't scheduled to work. She just showed up, spent 6 hours cleaning the damage, didn't charge overtime, didn't complain, just fixed it." "Why?" Liam asked, his voice rough. "I asked her that, sir. She said it wasn't right to leave such a mess for you to come home to. She said you'd been generous to her, and the least she could do was make sure your home was cared for." Liam hung up the phone and booked a flight back to New York. Forget the Tokyo meetings. Forget the business deals. None of it mattered anymore. He'd found what he was looking for. The apartment building in Queens was nothing like his Manhattan penthouse. Paint peeled from the walls. The elevator rattled like it might give up at any moment. The hallway smelled like a mixture of cooking spices and old carpet. Liam had changed into jeans and a simple jacket, trying not to look too out of place. He'd gotten Anna's address from his HR files, something he felt mildly guilty about, but this was important. He knocked on door 4C and waited. The door opened slowly, and Anna's face appeared in the gap, her eyes widening in shock. "Mr. Hayes, what are you? You're supposed to be in Tokyo. Is everything all right? Did I do something wrong?" "Can I come in?" he asked gently. She hesitated, glancing behind her, clearly embarrassed. "Sir, my home is very small. It's not." "Please, Anna, I need to talk to you." She stepped aside, and he entered a space that could have fit inside his walk-in closet. The apartment was immaculate despite its age, every surface scrubbed clean, everything in its place. A small kitchen table held a pot of soup, steam still rising from it. The smell hit him immediately, and he froze. "Is that," his voice caught, "is that chicken soup with rice and lemon?" Anna nodded, confused. "Yes, sir, it's my mother's favorite. I make it for her when she's not feeling well." Liam walked toward the pot like a man in a trance. "My mother used to make this, exactly like this. The smell. I haven't smelled this in 15 years. Anna's expression softened. "It's a simple recipe. My grandmother taught it to my mother, and my mother taught it to me. She says it's the taste of home." "It is," Liam whispered. "It really is." He turned to face her, and she looked so small in the dim light of her tiny apartment, still wearing the same worn shoes he'd seen her in for months. The same shoes she'd worn even after buying herself a replacement pair. Because she'd bought the thrift store shoes for someone else, he realized now. Someone who needed them more. "Anna, I need to tell you something. The credit card wasn't just a bonus." Her face paled. "Sir." "It was a test. For you, for my girlfriend, for my sister. I wanted to see what each of you would do with unlimited money and no supervision." She pressed a hand to her mouth, tears instantly forming in her eyes. "I'm so sorry. I should have asked first. I shouldn't have used it for donations. I shouldn't have." "Stop," he said firmly. "You have nothing to apologize for." "But I barely spent anything on myself. You must think I'm ungrateful or—" "Anna, look at me." She raised her eyes to his, tears streaming down her cheeks. "My girlfriend spent $93,000 on designer clothes and a luxury vacation in the Hamptons. She posted about it constantly on social media, but she never once mentioned me, never once said thank you. She just took and took and took as if it was owed to her." Anna said nothing, just listened. "My sister spent over $200,000 throwing a party that destroyed my home. She invited people I've never met to trash my belongings and drink my alcohol. She posted that money runs in our blood, as if wealth makes her superior to everyone around her." He stepped closer to Anna, his voice dropping. "And you? You spent less than $2,000. You bought groceries for your sick mother. You bought medicine. You donated to charities. You bought books for children and meals for strangers in a hospital. You even came to clean up my sister's mess on your day off because you thought I deserved to come home to something clean." "It was the right thing to do," she whispered. "Exactly," Liam said, and his voice broke on the word. "You did the right thing. When everyone else saw unlimited money as a chance to take whatever they wanted, you saw it as a chance to give whatever you could. I don't understand, Anna said, shaking her head. You're upset with me. I'm not upset with you. I'm in awe of you. He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. This is a new employment contract. I'd like you to be my personal assistant. Triple your current salary, full benefits, and your mother's medical bills will be covered entirely by my company's healthcare plan. Anna's knees buckled and Liam caught her elbow, steadying her. Sir, I can't. That's too much. I don't deserve. You deserve everything, he said fiercely. You deserve everything good in this world, and I've spent the last 3 days watching you give everything you had to others without asking for anything in return. So please, for once in your life, let someone give something to you. She broke down then, really broke down, sobbing into her hands. My mother's dying, she choked out. The dialysis isn't enough. She needs a kidney transplant, but we can't afford it, and she's not high enough on the donor list, and I've been working every hour I can, but it's never enough, it's never. Liam pulled her into a hug, letting her cry against his chest. She'll get her transplant. I'll make sure of it. Money can't buy a lot of things, but it can buy medical care, and your mother will have the best doctors in the country. Why? Anna whispered against his shirt. Why would you do this for me? Because you gave me something I thought I'd lost, he said quietly. Faith. My mother told me once that money shows you who people really are. For years, all it showed me was greed and selfishness, and people who wanted me for what I could give them. But you showed me that kindness still exists, that there are still people who think of others first, that there are still hearts in this world that money can't corrupt. She pulled back, looking up at him with red-rimmed eyes. What about your girlfriend, your sister? I ended things with Vanessa yesterday by text. She sent back a string of angry messages about how I'd led her on and wasted her time. She never once asked why or if I was okay. He smiled bitterly. And my sister is cut off. No more credit cards, no more allowances. She can either grow up and learn the value of money the way I did, or she can figure out life on her own. That must have been hard, Anna said softly. It should have been hard, but honestly, it was the easiest decision I've ever made. He gestured to the soup on the stove. Can I try some of that? She blinked, surprised, then nodded quickly. Of course, please sit. They sat at her tiny kitchen table, and she ladled soup into 2 mismatched bowls. Liam took the first spoonful and closed his eyes. It tasted exactly like his childhood, like poverty and love mixed together, like his mother's worn hands and her tired smile. It's perfect, he said and meant it. They ate in comfortable silence for a while, and then Anna asked quietly, What happens now? Now, Liam set down his spoon. Now you start your new job on Monday. Your mother gets scheduled for the transplant evaluation. I find an apartment for both of you closer to the hospital, no arguments, he added when she opened her mouth to protest. And somewhere in all of that, if you're willing, I'd like to get to know you better. Not as my employee, just as you. Mr. Hayes. Liam, he corrected gently. Please call me Liam. Liam, she repeated, testing the name. I'm nobody special, I'm just a maid who. You're not just anything, he interrupted. You're extraordinary, you're kind and selfless and genuine. You're everything I've been looking for and didn't think existed anymore. She looked down at her soup, a small smile playing at her lips. My mother's going to think I made all this up. A billionaire shows up at our door, offers to pay for her medical care, and gives her daughter a new job. It sounds like a fairy tale. Then let's go tell her together, Liam said, standing up. Is she well enough for visitors right now? She's at the hospital. They're keeping her overnight for monitoring. Let me drive you. You don't have to. I want to, he said simply. Besides, I'd like to meet the woman who taught you to make soup that tastes like love feels. Anna laughed then, a real laugh, bright and unguarded. Okay, yes, let's go. As they left her apartment and headed down to where his car was waiting, Liam felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Real, genuine, uncomplicated hope. Money had shown him who people really were. It had revealed Vanessa's greed and Chloe's entitlement. But more importantly, more wonderfully, it had revealed Anna's heart. And her heart, he was beginning to realize, was the richest treasure he'd ever encountered. At the hospital, Maria Rodriguez lay in her bed, her face thin and tired but her eyes bright when she saw her daughter. "Mija," she said warmly, then noticed Liam. "And who is this?" "Mama, this is Liam Hayes, my employer." "The penthouse man." Maria's eyes widened. "Anna talks about your beautiful home. She says you have walls made of windows." "I do," Liam said, smiling. "And your daughter keeps them spotless, but she's going to have a different job now. I've asked her to be my personal assistant." Maria looked between them, understanding dawning in her eyes. "I see." "And Mrs. Rodriguez, I'd like to help with your medical care. Your daughter has worked very hard for me, and I'd like to make sure you get the treatment you need." Tears filled Maria's eyes. "Señor, that is too generous. We cannot accept." "Mama," Anna said gently, taking her mother's hand. "Let him help, please. For once, just let someone help." Maria looked at her daughter, then at Liam, then back to Anna. "This man, he is good to you." "Yes, Mama." "Then yes," Maria said, squeezing Anna's hand. "Yes, we accept. And thank you, Señor Hayes. Thank you for seeing what a special girl my daughter is." "I think I'm the one who should be grateful," Liam said quietly. "She reminded me what really matters." Later, as Liam drove Anna back to her apartment, she turned to him in the car. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "What made you decide to do this test? The credit card thing?" He was quiet for a moment, watching the city lights blur past the window. "My mother died when I was 23. Before she passed, she told me that wealth would change people around me. She said it would bring out their true nature, good or bad. I didn't really understand until I had money and saw how people treated me differently. Everyone wanted something. Everyone had an angle. And I got tired of wondering if anyone actually cared about me or just my bank account." "That sounds lonely," Anna said softly. It is, but not tonight." He glanced at her and smiled. "Tonight, I feel like I finally found what I've been looking for." "What's that?" "Someone who would have been kind to me even if I had nothing. Someone whose heart is richer than any bank account could ever be." Anna blushed and looked out the window. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Liam said firmly. "You did what very few people would do, and that makes all the difference." 3 months later, Maria Rodriguez received her kidney transplant from a donor match Liam's medical team had worked tirelessly to find. The surgery was successful, and her recovery was steady. She moved into a comfortable apartment near the hospital, where Anna could visit her every day after work. Anna thrived in her new role as Liam's personal assistant. She organized his life with the same care she'd once shown cleaning his penthouse, but more than that, she brought warmth to his days. She remembered his coffee order without being asked. She knew when he needed to take a break and would bring him soup, and always the recipe that tasted like home. She listened when he talked about business frustrations and offered insights that were surprisingly astute. And somewhere along the way, between meetings and late-night work sessions and shared meals, something shifted between them. It started small, Liam finding excuses to extend their work conversations, Anna laughing more freely around him, hands brushing accidentally when passing documents. Eye contact that lasted a beat too long. 6 months after the credit card test, Liam invited Anna to dinner, not as his employee, but as his guest. They went to a quiet restaurant in Brooklyn, nothing fancy, and talked for hours about everything and nothing. "Do you ever miss it?" Anna asked over dessert. "The old life, when things were simpler." "I miss my mother," Liam admitted. "I miss feeling like the world was full of good people. But do I miss being broke and struggling? Not particularly. Though I'll tell you what I learned. Poverty doesn't make people noble, and wealth doesn't make them greedy. Those qualities were always there. Money just turns up the volume." "That's wise," Anna said. "You bring out the wisdom in me." He reached across the table and took her hand. "Anna, I need to tell you something. These past few months working with you, getting to know you, watching you with your mother, I've fallen in love with you." She inhaled sharply, her eyes wide. "You don't have to say anything back," he continued quickly. I know there's a power dynamic with me being your employer, and I never want you to feel pressured. If you don't feel the same way, we can forget I said anything and go back to how things were. But I couldn't keep it inside anymore. You've changed my life, Anna. You've reminded me what love is supposed to look like, selfless, kind, genuine. And I want to spend my life trying to love you even half as well as you love everyone around you. Tears slipped down Anna's cheeks, but she was smiling. You really mean that? Every word. I love you too, she whispered. I've been trying so hard not to. I thought it was inappropriate, that I was being foolish, that someone like you could never really want someone like me. But I can't help it. When I'm with you, I feel like I can breathe, like I'm home. Liam stood up, moved around the table, and kissed her right there in the restaurant while other diners smiled, and a few even applauded. When they finally pulled apart, Anna was laughing through her tears. What about people who'll say I'm a gold digger, that I only want you for your money? Let them say whatever they want, Liam said fiercely. I gave you unlimited access to millions of dollars, and you spent less than $2,000. You didn't want my money then, and I know you don't want it now. You want me, just me. And that's all I've ever wanted, for someone to love me for who I am, not what I have. A year later, they married in a small ceremony at the hospital chapel, with Maria Rodriguez in the front row, healthy and smiling, happy tears streaming down her face. Liam's sister Chloe wasn't invited. She'd reached out a few months prior, apologetic and seemingly changed, but Liam had told her they could rebuild their relationship slowly, on his terms. Vanessa had sold her story to a tabloid, painting herself as a victim and Liam as a manipulator. The article died within a week, forgotten. She'd already moved on to dating another wealthy man, this one an heir to a hotel fortune. Liam wished her well from a distance and never thought about her again. On their wedding night, as they stood on the balcony of their honeymoon suite, Anna turned to Liam and said, Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't given us that test? Every day, Liam admitted. I might have married Vanessa, spent my life wondering if she really loved me, let my sister continue down a destructive path, and I never would have really seen you, not the way I see you now. I'm glad you saw me, Anna said softly. I'm glad you showed me what to look for. He pulled her close. My mother once told me that money shows you who people really are. She was right. But what she didn't tell me is that sometimes the person with the least money has the richest heart. And when you find that person, you hold on tight and never let go. Anna kissed him then, surrounded by stars and city lights, and thought about the billionaire's credit card that had changed her life. Not because of what she'd bought with it, but because of what she'd revealed by not buying anything at all. In a world where money can buy almost anything, she'd proven that kindness, love, and genuine care remain priceless. And those are the things that make life truly rich. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories. Drop a comment below telling us what you would do with a billionaire's credit card. Would you pass the test? And if you believe that real wealth is measured in kindness, not cash, hit that like button and share this video with someone who needs a reminder that good hearts still exist in this world. Thank you for watching, and remember, the richest people aren't always the ones with the most money.